My mom and her abusive husband grounded me for the dumbest thing and I got my revenge every day for a month. I was 15 at the time. I am 23 now and I've been no contact for a long time. My mom and her husband had abused, neglected, and left me. Out of everything my entire life, they treated me so poorly and like a burden for existing. I was the one everyone's problems got taken out on. The week before this happened, my mom, her abusive husband, and Olive's siblings went on a lake trip. They excluded me and my grandma. A week later, my grandma told me to pack a bag for the day. We went on a day trip to a lovely beach. We went swimming, we went out to a restaurant, and we went to a museum. We collected seashells. It was an amazing day. When I got home, my mom and her abusive husband yelled at me. They said I should have told my grandma to take my sister too. They grounded me for being selfish and self-absorbed, for leaving my sister behind. My sister was the favorite. They grounded me for a whole month. That entire month, I was a menace enacting petty revenge. Every day that I was grounded, I left the shower handle up and made sure the knob was the cold part of the shower, if that. Makes sense. That morning my mother's husband yelled, "Who the fuck left the shower knob on?" The cold water sprayed me. When I hear him yell, I quietly giggled. This was just the beginning. Every time I noticed the toilet paper roll was low, I used the entirety of it and didn't change it out for a new roll. I kept a pack of wet wipes in my bag for this reason. I went around the kitchen and often unplugged the microwave, air fryer, etc. I made it inconvenient to use the kitchen. I logged out of all the household computers, so it was a hassle for my mother and her husband to reset the password. I removed the label off all of the canned goods in the kitchen. That month I took all the spoons, knives, and forks and threw them in the trash. I had a stash of plastic forks and cutlery in my room that me and my grandmother used. They flipped out over the utensils. I logged out all of the streaming apps on the television, and no one knew the passwords, so they had to go through more. Hassle. The cherry on top of it all, I took all of the garbage bags and got rid of them. They were mad they couldn't throw anything away, and they had to go to the store to buy more. I was a petty child, and don't deny that. My revenge was so satisfying. He robbed an old man. We delivered him straight to the cops. There's an old man called Robert in my village who's been a widower for years. He lives alone on a small farm just off the main road with chickens, a few goats, a horse, a garden. That kind of peaceful life. He's one of those people everyone calls a saint. He never raises his voice, always has biscuits for the kids, and always helps when someone needs something. When I was a kid, I used to spend afternoons at his place, with my friends feeding the animals, running around the trees, and drinking juice from those old-school glass bottles. One of those friends was David, a kid who came from a rougher background but was always welcome at the farm, just like the rest of us. Now we're all adults, and David didn't turn out great. He's known for petty crimes, always looking for a quick score. He was kicked out of his parents' house more than once, and most people had already cut ties with him. But not Robert. One night, a few days ago, David knocked on Robert's door asking for a place to crash. It was cold, and he said he had nowhere else to go. Robert, as always, let him in. He gave him a warm bed for the night. The next morning, he went to the local market to buy Chocapic cereal and something nice to make breakfast for David, but when he came back, he found David rummaging through a drawer where he kept some savings. Even after being asked what he had put in his pocket, David said no and took off. That broke something in me. Me and another friend who also grew up going to that farm tracked him down and pretended we didn't know anything. I offered him a ride, and he said yes, as we usually do here. But instead of driving him to the center, we drove him straight to the police station. I explained everything to the cops, and they arrested him because he confessed while waiting for Robert to show up. He's now in custody, awaiting trial. I hope justice is served. Robert cried in front of us not because of the betrayal, but because, in his words, "I thought you all had forgotten me." That broke my heart so badly. We had stopped visiting as we grew up, just waving instead of stopping by. That made me realize how much of a piece of shit I am too. So now I'm visiting him at least once a month. He may have been robbed that day, but he also got a reminder. Not all of us turned out like David. Some of us, remember, who raised us and who helped keep us off the streets and away from temptation when we were kids. I protect what matters, always.
My family is making a homophobic cake decorator, make hundreds of pride cakes. This one grocery store in my town offers custom cakes out of their bakery section, not a Walmart. Their only cake decorator is a nasty bitch of a woman with even nastier opinions about gay people, and she's a real piece of work. Let me tell you, one of my siblings, who is LGBT+, works in the store, too, and they've been fed up with this lady for a while. Well, a couple days ago, this sibling told my family that for their upcoming birthday, they want us to custom order them a pride-themed cake from the store so that this homophobic woman will have to make a cake that stands for everything she so openly hates. My family is going to do this, but we're doing so much more than that, too. One of my other siblings already ordered a pride cake so that we could all have cake just because. My mother ordered a pride cake to give to our favorite and openly gay barista at a coffee shop we like. My wife ordered a pride cake just because. She loves me and knows I love cake. You see where this is going? I have a lot of siblings. My siblings have families and friends. I have family and friends, and our family and friends have their own share of family and friends, and so on. And because we're not pieces of shit, and because in my family, we all share a powerful strand of petty DNA, we all are ordering pride cakes. This homophobic cake decorator will be making hundreds of pride cakes this month, and the icing on the pride cake, the cake decorator's manager saw the first cake, the first one my sibling ordered, and loved the concept. The manager figures they can sell extra cakes this month if they advertise that they can theme them for Pride Month. She's definitely right, so she told the decorator to make one for the display case. Now, all the LGBT+ in town will see it. And this homophobic waste of space will have to make even more pride cakes. Sometimes, life is beautiful. It brings me genuine joy to think of this woman spending her month making more cakes than this town orders in a typical year, and all of them themed for pride. Don't pay your bill. I'll remove your door. My friend has a glass business, replaces broken doors, windows, etc. One time this diner shop got broken into, and they hired him to replace their broken glass door. My friend's business replaced it and billed him. He viewed the invoice and didn't pay for weeks. My friend kept following up, and he'd ignore him, never paid the invoice. He ended up blocking my friend's number. My friend calls from a different number and says, if you don't pay, I'll remove the door. Ignored again. My friend waits until Friday at midnight and goes removes the door himself. Alarms go off. Store wide open in the middle of a busy street. All of a sudden, he has 30 missed calls from the shop owner begging for the door back and that he'll pay the invoice. He told him he can hire another company to install a new door for him, and he doesn't want his business. Shop owner was begging, and my friend didn't budge and blocked his number. He parked in front of our garage and swore at my wife and mother-in-law. So I helped him apply for jobs a few years ago. My mother-in-law flew in from across the country to visit my fiancée, now wife, and I for a week. We live in an apartment in a busy part of downtown Vancouver, and our garage opens up into an alley right next to the entrance of a liquor store. We are often blocked in by people when trying to get home or leave. We've gotten into a few screaming matches with people before, but this one was my favorite. The worst, we were coming back pretty late in the evening, maybe around 8 to 9 p.m. This guy, we'll call him Christopher, had parked right in front of our garage door and went into the liquor store to buy some booze. When he came back out and saw us in our vehicle waiting for him to move so that we could park and be home, he made some snotty comment that we couldn't hear while still in our vehicle and got into his car. We thought he'd drive away, but he just sat there, opened a "Hey y'all," and drank it while looking at us and laughing. I got out of the vehicle, walked over to him, and honestly politely, I've gotten into too many screaming matches and just wanted to get home. And also didn't want my future mill to see me getting angry. Asked him to move so that we could get inside. He basically responded by telling me to myself, and that he'd do what he wanted. I tried to explain that he was blocking our garage and asked him if he could just move up a bit so that we could get in. This escalated really quickly. He got out of the car and got really into my face. I, still not wanting to play out this situation in front of my future mill, stayed calm and just kept asking him to get back into his car and leave. Eventually he started pushing me, clearly trying to start a fight. I called the police. While I was on the phone with them, he had put himself and his face centimeters from mine. I stepped back and put my arm out while still on the phone, and he walked into it. He started screaming about how I was assaulting him and how he needed police help because we were right downtown. The police arrived within a minute from when I had made the call, still on the phone with the operator the whole time. As soon as they arrived, he changed his tone and attitude completely. He started telling them a sob story about how I had approached him in his vehicle and threatened him. Luckily, My fiancé and future mill were still in the car and completely backed up my story. He was also parked illegally in front of my parking garage, so the police quickly took my side and demanded that he leave. As he got back into his car, the police noticed his open can of Hey All in the console and immediately got him back out of the car and demanded that he perform a breathalyzer test. Unfortunately, he had finished the can before getting out, so he claimed that he had found the can on the road and was planning to bring it in for the 5C deposit. His alcohol level was also below the legal limit for driving, so the police couldn't do anything to charge him with a DUI. The police stayed until he left, but the last thing he did before driving away was to throw his business card out of the window at me and ask, "You don't even know who you're messing with." I picked it up as he was driving away, already starting to plan my revenge, although with no idea of what I could do with his information. The next day, I looked Christopher up, and it turns out he was a freelance graphic designer. He has his own website with a bunch of his completed projects and his full PDF downloadable resume. I downloaded his resume and got to work. I started applying for jobs on Christopher's behalf. I had his real phone number, real address, and real full resume. He applied to every McDonald's in the area, Starbucks, TNT, grocery stores, movie theaters, literally any minimum wage jobs that I could find with a quick, easy application process. I must have applied for over 80 jobs for him, all using his real phone number and real resume. I kept this up for a few weeks, searching for more jobs whenever I had some free time. Unfortunately, I never got to see his face as he started getting callbacks. He was truly more than qualified for any of these jobs, but I like to think that for a month or two, he would receive phone calls throughout the week asking to set up job interviews, thinking that it was for his graphic design work, only to be told that it was for a McDonald's or Wendy's or wherever. A few months later, I went back to his website thinking that I'd start the process again. He pulled that crap in front of my fiancé and future mill. I was salty, but his website had been taken down or moved to a new URL.tl drive. Don't mess with me in front of my family, or else I'll get you a job at McDonald's.